Back with another one for the Mineos. Thank you, Mineos.
That's one of the reasons why we wanted to invest in real estate. Is I wanted to have the freedom to walk away from music at any time I want to and be like, my lifestyle and our family is completely taken care of from the investments we made.
And real estate just seemed like such a good fit because our goals were to be able to make income passively, to give Andy more freedom to say no to things he didn't want to do, specifically shows. That's what we call FU money.
Ladies first.
Cristina Mineo.
And I'm Andy Mineo.
And where y'all from?
New York.
So a few years ago, y'all moved.
I didn't know that. I did not know that about Andy Mineo. What was it about him that gave off like this West Coast vibe? I don't know. I did not know he was from the East. That's dope. New York, eh? Wonder what part.
From New York to Atlanta. Y'all could have done anything, it seems like. Why real estate and why did y'all choose to go all in on that?
There's a couple things to why we decided to move to Atlanta and invest in real estate over other things, because the reason why we stayed in New York for so long is that's where my whole family is. That's my whole life, and it was really hard for me emotionally to wrap my head around the idea that I would leave and go anywhere. When I finally came around, I was like, the only reason I'm leaving New York is to make money. If I'm gonna leave everybody and everything I know and love, I'm not playing games. So we spent a bunch of time, many months, doing research and reading books on real estate and financial health and wealth and all these things about how to steward what we had well. And real estate just seemed like such a good fit because our goals were to be able to make income passively, to give Andy more freedom to say no to things he didn't want to do, specifically shows. That's what we call FU money.
That's right.
Money that gives you the power to do whatever you want as opposed to feeling strapped because you don't have the cash.
Yeah, you got to take a job or a thing you don't want to do because, you need the finances. So we just wanted to empower ourselves, really.
Get treated in a way you don't want to. Be around people who don't value you. That's the worst. Having to go to a job every day and you're around a bunch of people who have tried to devalue who you are and in their own ways belittle you or bring you down, drain your energy. I was talking to someone today and I was saying how the work field is one of the most interesting things to me, because as a grown man, it was one thing as a young man when I was doing my thing, making a little bit of money, doing other things to make more money. So I didn't really take this job serious. It was what it was. And I was always doing something on the side to get money. And it worked. It was always working. Thank God. Glory be to God. But actually needing to pay bills and do things and invest in yourself and being the only one investing in yourself and trying to chase these dreams and put the music out, needing money is a whole different story when you're going to a job where you're not like, and bro, in your heart of hearts that you're not in the wrong. You haven't crossed no one, you haven't disrespected someone, you haven't approached them in an energy that you deserve to get thrown right back your way. It's one of the most challenging things I think I've ever had to face, because I'm like, as much as I want to go home and say, okay, God, what are you teaching me in this season? I really want to go home and not come back anymore. But not because I want to run, because I want to say something or do something that's going to obviously get me fired. We live in the real world with real consequences. Anyways, the point is, like he said, not have to go somewhere or do something that you really don't want to do in your heart of hearts. They're right. That's that FU money, and that feels good. And it's not of a place of arrogance. If anything, it's of a place of, because of course they would acknowledge that it's all through the glory of God, but it's of a place through humility, because you've been humbled or you've been put in positions that you've told yourself, when I escape this, I don't want to come back. I don't want to go through this again. And I think that's going to be one of my favorite things in the future, when music is going well and I can get into real estate such as themselves. And I didn't know they did that, but that's just amazing. And I can put money into certain things and work with people who have a good heart. Those are the people that I want to honor them. I want to bless them. I want them to be a part of my team. A team that, if you let me tell it, music is going to be successful, and I'm going to be the backing, and we're going to be unlimited resources, because we'll just keep going until we figure it out. Those are the people I want to bring on my team. Not those people who just have a heart of like, there's only so long you can say, is it jealousy? Is it because everybody else gets along with me that this group of people dislike me? And then you start to see it can't all be jealousy. Like, there's nothing to be jealous of. So then you have to ask yourself, is it maturity and immature as far as feelings and emotions? They don't know how to deal with it. Maybe they were brought up in a single household. But I just hate giving excuses. Not because I'm excusing their behavior, but because, so what? So what if you went through that? There's 1,000 other people that have gone through that if I met them tomorrow and had to be around them day in and day out, they wouldn't be treating people like this or acting as such. So it's like, how much can I excuse your behavior in my mind? Which, by the way, I shouldn't be doing, because I shouldn't be thinking for you anyways. You shouldn't be thinking for no one. Don't put air bubbles above no one's head. That's not your job. Your job is to be in charge and in control of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And you get to a place where you're going to work with these people who, I don't know, again, excusing their behavior. I don't know if it's, do they think I'm dumb? Do they not know that I see what you're doing. I see what you're provoking. I see the buttons you're pushing. And I really, really believe this in my heart of hearts. Anything you do over and over and over, you become good at it. You become great at it if you're willing to take it that far. And to me, that's in any aspect. Music, acting, coaching, sports, anything. You do it religiously, you will become better at it. And I believe that in hating. That's why some of these guys are funny. They're funny. Some of the stuff they write in comments, it's so disrespectful, and sometimes it's funny. But it's not funny like, oh, let's continue to hate. It's funny because it's like, wow, you must really be in a space where all you do is do this all day, that you've gotten so good at it, because you're pinpointing stuff that I would have never even noticed about this person, or maybe even about this or myself. It's like, why does your mind even go there? How do you come here and out of everything you could have got from this, if nothing, just leave, and you take your takeaway is just some bitter, jealous, just weird comment that I'm like, where did that come from? It gets to a point where you're like, the faces may change where you go, but the spirits remain the same. And you'll see it time and time again. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. One thing I'm learning, and I hate that it has to be this way. Pardon me. But one thing I'm learning is, don't share your gifts with everyone. Because when people know you may have you may potentially have a way out, oh, the hate comes. The hate comes when they're not in a position because of the decisions they made, choices, or just the carefree spirited ones, the ones who could care less about doing the extra, going the extra mile, going home from work and putting in more work. And when they see you may have a way out, you just put yourself on their enemy radar.
Able to have passive income and then build the lifestyle we want to live. Yeah. I think so. People probably, when they see me, they see, oh, you're a rapper. You must have jewelry, big house, car, all that stuff, right? Or you must be a millionaire. The reality is, like, there's a tiny, like 1% of people who get to make a living off of music. And even when you make a living off of music, the pie gets split so many ways that it's like you really have to be creative and have other sources of income outside of just like music, because you start breaking it down. I saw a video one time, this guy was like, all right, so a rapper gets $100,000 advance. It's like, boom, taxes, boom, management, boom, lawyer. He's like, that joint is like 10 grand, you know? You start really breaking down the pie, and you see, in order to sustain a career, the cost of business, there's so many people that have to get their cut. There's a huge cost of business involved as well. And I also look at music very similar to like athletes, like pro athletes.
Sure.
They usually have a window where they kill it and then it's over. So like the average NFL career is what, 4 years? And they might get $500,000 or something a year, league minimum. So it's like $2 million.
Right.
Half of that's gone to taxes, so it's like one. You can do a lot with $1 million, but you got to be smart with it to figure out. So even though we've done well and made good money from music, the way that I think about things is I always want to plan for the worst. So like, all right, say tomorrow, nobody likes Andy Mineo's music.
Or COVID happens.
You can't tour. COVID hit, and we lived so far below our means that we were straight when COVID hit. And that's an intentional thing that we have about the way we live. Like, I don't drive rapper cars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I drive regular cars. And that's because we were like, I don't really care about appearances in cars that way. I've never been a big car fan, whatever.
And even if he's not really a big car guy, and because don't get him wrong, I'm not trying to speak for him, but we're men. We still like a nice body car. You sit us down in a car, and he got the money, and he can be tempted just as easily as the next man. But you get to a point where the real things in life matter. We're grown. The real things matter. A nice house, we'll take that. Something we can pay off and, of course, leave behind one day. God forbid, just realistically. And those other things, I don't really want to say material things, because material things can be somewhat of a good thing too. But going over and above to impress who? That's when it gets to a point where it's like, all right, we can reel it back in. What are we comfortable with? What impresses you? What are you happy with? I respect that. That's how I feel like that's how I am. I hope that's how I am when I get there. I feel like that's how I am.
We just made a decision early on to, instead of not even invest, just spend our money on like luxury cars. We were like, let's drive really regular cars and invest in property, because we started learning about assets and liabilities. And we realized cars are liabilities. They're always something you put money into and your money goes down. Where assets are, you put money into something and your money grows. And so we know that we wanted to set up our lifestyle to have more assets than liabilities. And we know that real estate is one of those things where you put your money into it and 99 times out of 100 it's going to grow. Because if you invest in the right city at the right time, and the right property, you're always going to get your money back and some. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to invest in real estate. Is I wanted to have the freedom to walk away from music at any time I want to and be like, my lifestyle and our family is completely taken care of from the investments we made.
We didn't grow up in families that knew how to manage money very well.
That's right.
So all of this had to be intentional and self-taught. And the other thing is that we knew that even if we came into some money now, money is not guaranteed and can be wasted so fast. And we see it as a society all the time with like athletes and people who win the lottery or whatever.
Yep.
They come into money and then tomorrow it's gone, and we just were not trying to do that.
Right.
My two biggest fears for investing in real estate was, one, buying the wrong house that would somehow bankrupt us. That was huge, especially because we just felt like we were making this up as we went along, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And the second was getting into some legal issues with tenants or something like that. That was also really scary.
Yeah.
Which would also end up in bankrupting us. So
I think one of the other big fears is when you start dealing with house numbers, those are numbers that if you're not used to talking about, they're like, oh, 500,000, 600,000, 200,000, whatever. That's a terrifying number to think I'm in debt $1 million, 500,000, that could sink me. I'll never recover. When you really start, my buddy Emmanuel Acho, who also is into property, was like, you got to think about it in the actual numbers of like month to month. Like, is that doable? And not break off the big $600,000. Like, it's $2,000 a month. Can you cover that? You know? And he's like, once you start doing some of that and thinking about what it actually is day to day, it takes some of the fear out of it. And you're like, oh, well, I pay $2,000 a month every month for rent. So I could definitely, and I've never missed, I could probably do that for a house as well, right? So some of the fear is those big numbers early on.
What were some of the mistakes that y'all made early on?
Not buying more property was the biggest mistake we made. That was it. Honestly, we haven't run into any big like, wow, we bought a terrible house. We literally are just like, I wish we would have bought more.
I also think you can educate yourself out of mistakes. Even if something were to happen, there's ways you can sell it, you can refinance, whatever. You can partner with somebody. There's different ways to get out of it. So I think it's education not only just to get in, but even education to maneuver the mistakes. So when we moved down to Atlanta, Erika saw like the small passion that we had and just poured gasoline on that fire. And she was giving us encouragement to keep going. At the end of the day, we moved to a new city that we had never lived in. We're messing with these huge numbers, but she was there as a consistent, like, no, you guys are doing the right things. These numbers add up. You can think about this property this way. Here's another angle to look at it. This is another way that you can protect yourself or things like that. So she's been invaluable to us.
Yeah. It was also just friendly and kind and helpful. She helped us with our first Airbnb that we put up. The person who you are, like the work that you do on yourself, to be kind, generous, helpful, those things typically come back around to you in business as well. You reap more reward from that than just being a nice person. It's like, it helps you financially too. Because people want to mess with you. People want to do deals with you. People want to invest or go half on something, so it's always good to just have a good vibe about you, and Erika has that for sure.
So I feel like I just need to go.
We were just speaking about that. Now, mind you, I don't have the millions of dollars laying around, but I'm saying, when I'm in that position, I'm circling back. I'm spinning the block 3 times, 4 times. I'm coming for those people who I recalled, man, even in the midst of treating people like this and people treating such and such and me like this, and it was when the odds were against me, I still recall such and such, still reaching out, still being a friend, still walking that road. You know what it is to walk in a room and 25 people have been talking about you, gossiping about you, spreading ridiculous lies about you. They have outcasted you. You are not their cup of tea. Whether you don't speak their language, whatever it is, you got here early, they don't like how you carry yourself, maybe you're not going out your way to make friends with them, and they feel like, oh, you think you're better, so now they done already outcasted you before you had the chance to even be who you are. You know what it is to walk with that guy? Because I don't. I was walked with when someone didn't have to walk side by side with me and be recognized with me. That's, bro, and you gotta salute that. And who doesn't want to work with someone who's kind? Who doesn't want to put money in pockets and eat at the table and break bread with people who you feel like, man, this person's respectful, they're humble, and maybe not humble. You don't gotta be humble. You want to buy 15 watches, that's your business. But respectful, genuine, kind. These are basic, not even demands, basic ask. Like, we don't ask for much. You can't be kind. You can't be respectful. You can't be genuine. Everything's got to be a game with you. Everything's a mind game. Everything's a belittle me, make me out to look dumb, call me out when people are around, call me out in ways you wouldn't call me out if someone such and so wasn't here, call me out in ways that you don't call no one else out. And we got to be careful, because you'll get the people who watch something like this and say, oh, you're the victim. Oh, you're sad. You won't ever hear me. Ask anyone. You won't hear me coming home saying, oh, if all that, I'll go get another job if I thought I was a victim all day. But I'm nobody's victim. And I'm not running. And that's one thing I could stand and say, firm in God, I never ran from a job. Treat me how you want. I'm still going to come here until God decides it's time for me to go. But I'm getting off topic, but we circled back to treating people right and reaping rewards with them.
Off about Erika for a second. When I met Erika, I was like, she's a badass, and I just need her in my life. I just want to be friends with her, even if she didn't help us as much as she did. I just wanted to be around her because I feel like there's not many young Black females that can not only hold her own family down, but have helped her extended family and other people get a job, get housing. She's like, yo, you want to come to my city? Here are things that you need to survive. I'm going to give you a job in my own company. I'm going to give you housing from a house that I own because I own several. I'm like, what the heck? If you put Erika against anybody on the street, she's amazing. And then when you get to know her more and her story, she's exceptional. So Erika is something else.
Shout out to Erika.
The endorsement of a lifetime.
Shout out to Erika. And the Mineos. I said in the last one, I'd like to watch some more. This is 3 years ago. I know. I'm reacting to some old work. Is that nasty work? I don't know. So shout out to Erika. I'm subscribed.